I'll just give it up for all the parents, team managers and coaches. I know we've got a few more days left, but make sure you do let them know what experiences you do have, if it's positive, negative. Every feedback is crucial. So I'll pass it on now to Damo. And yeah, once again, welcome Damo.
Yeah, I've got no plans or anything like that, or anything, too much. What I wanted to say was just wanted to come down and, because obviously I'm Victorian, so I like you guys better than everyone else, but, say hi to everybody else as well here and there. But, just quickly as well, well done on the achievement of making the state team. Like, I remember trying out for a couple of indoor state teams, like when I first started. And I didn't even get close. I had a C team back then. I didn't even make a C team. So you're all doing much better than I was at your ages. And so yeah, don't take for granted getting to represent your state at a national championship. And above school level. And beach volleyball in a way is harder than indoor as well because there's less people that are playing in each age group or division. So I just wanted to say well done to you all and. Try. There's a pity I only could have come here today because I wanted to watch heaps more of you guys play. But I think there's a couple of teams playing off the medals tomorrow, which is awesome as well. But and there's lots of teams. I think some of them were saying some of you are disappointed with the results and how you guys went. But believe me when I say that that's completely all part of it. And I know some of you will be feeling this in the moment, but with beach volleyball, it's much more. It's a team game for sure. It's very important to be part of the team, but in beach volleyball, especially in pairs as well and in threes or whatever. But indoor, you can hide behind the big team of 12, and you sort of all lose together. But beach, it's more on you. And so I know when you do lose or you don't get exactly what you want, it can hurt a little bit more, and you can feel like you personally lost. And that's true. And that's the great thing about beach volleyball. There's nowhere to hide because. You're out there putting yourself out there, and you don't often in sport, unless individual sports as well. But in a team sense, between you and your friend on the court, you get to put yourselves out there. So you experience these amazing highs, which are all your fault, and you also get to experience these amazing lows in beach volleyball, which I'm sure some of you are experiencing now. But believe me when I say it's all part of it, and I've definitely gone through that over the years. I'm about to continue to go through that as well. These awesome highs, which happened to me a couple of weeks ago, and leading up to that, thought about quitting, heaps of times when, whether it be getting told you're too small to play, or you don't have the right weapons, or you're getting too old, and there's like financial pressures and blah blah blah, and that happened right since I was about 15. At school level, I got cut at Mazenod, wherever you boys are. Yeah. So you guys are doing better than me. I didn't make the team in year 7 as well, and had to come back. And a couple of years later, and realised I really enjoyed it, and come back. And then I went to an Australian tryout. I went to big tryouts, didn't even get close. Went to an Australian tryout, got smashed. I was like the worst guy there for like under 19s, I think. But it was sort of at that time I also decided that I loved the game of beach volleyball. So that was really important. So I loved the game of beach volleyball. And from that moment, I just decided to give it everything I had, everything I could, up until the day I retire, whenever that might be. So a lot of people, I think, and maybe I'll be saying the wrong thing here, but a lot of people set goals like I'm going to win Olympic gold, and it's very hard to do, and they're great goals to have, but a lot of the time people then go on the world tour or go on the national tour, and they come to a national championships representing their state, and they lose straight away, and then they don't want to play the sport ever again, and putting yourself out there, and what will the other people think about me, all that sort of stuff. That sort of comes into it. But yeah, I think it's not a bad way to go if you really love the sport and you want to keep going in it. Just promise yourself that you'll just train and put everything you have into it until the day you stop, whether that be 24, 25, 19, 35, 45, whatever it is. So that would probably be my advice to most of you, whether you've done really well or you haven't quite lived up to your own expectations. It's all part of it. I'm sort of rambling a bit now, but you sort of get where I'm going with it anyway. I've sat exactly where you guys are, whether that be you've played terribly, you've choked, you've played really well, you've played awesomely, and you've still lost. You've got the nerves now that you're about to play for a medal tomorrow. Or you've got the disappointment of losing a semi, but you still got to back up for bronze. You're a few of you at a gold medal match, I think, as well. And I've had those feelings of excitement about to throw it against, you know, a better team. And I've also had the feeling of being in a gold medal match, relaxing, going, oh, okay, I've made it. It's okay if I lose now, which is also the bad thing. So there's lots of thoughts and emotions and feelings that you only get through beach volleyball. So it's it's awesome so many of you guys get to experience that. Sorry for the people I said no to a photo down at the courts. I just didn't want to distract the girls who were playing the semi just then or whatever. So there was a couple of you I said no to, so we can do that later if you want. I've got the medal as well if you want a photo. But I don't know. Just if there's any questions. Everyone wave to them.
Bit of hush. So what's next, Damo?
Just back into training and then we'll get back on the world tour in a month or so, a couple of months, and keep rolling and start the whole show again.
Yeah. Fair enough. And are you still talking to your partner every day, or?
Getting there.
Yeah.
I think he's coming to Perth tomorrow, so we still got some media stuff to do next week. We're going around the country, and it's been the best thing about the whole it was definitely good me winning the gold medal. I'm very happy it was me. But the best thing about it was actually, and I've said this to a few people, was just ramming beach volleyball down people's throats that don't usually get to see it. It was and I'm sure all of you, hopefully a lot of you had that experience. It wasn't just family, friends, and other volleyballs that were watching. It was a unique time where, and whether we won or lost, or even the semis and quarters and other countries playing, it was good that really, really good for the sport that people who aren't, again, friends, family, and other volleyballs got to watch volleyball and how exciting and good it can be. So hopefully you guys can all get around that and keep talking to your friends and get other people to play and just keep making the whole show bigger. So when you get a little bit older, you can play on the national tour and the state tour, and there's more money involved. And keep rolling.
Does anyone have any questions?
When you were playing the gold medal match in the Commonwealth, third set Canada, 12-9 their way. What was going through your head there?
It was a bit numbing. You don't have too much time to. We didn't have any timeouts either, actually, which might have been a good thing. But we didn't have too much time to wallow and be like, oh, we might have almost lost it here. So we very quickly had to. I knew in the back of my head if we could side out and then make just one defensive point, then we'd be in business. But we ended up siding out and making 2 defensive points to go 12 all again. So we were definitely in business. But those sorts of moments as well when you're playing such a good team like Canada, who are ranked well above us on the world tour, you sort of have to take risks as well. So you can't quite play too conservative. So we swapped sides actually. So I've been playing on the right side the whole time. And without even talking about it, me and Chris, which we've done before in other games and training and stuff, and we've talked about it before, but we don't tend to do it too much. But what you guys think when you're playing, if you're playing someone and they suddenly switch sides, it's a whole different look at, if they run to the middle, whatever. So if you can learn to play both sides, it's very handy. Without talking, after we slapped hands, we just switched sides straight away, and that allowed me to side out for a point, and then Chris got an ace, and then Pedler hit one out. So then we were back in business. So not much going through my head. I knew we had to side out. We had to side out at that point, otherwise we were stuck. Yeah. And we did. So it was good.
Any more questions? Yep. Yeah.
If you could change anything from your volleyball experience, what would it be?
My whole volleyball experience over my life. Jeez. I don't know. It's there's a few. There's a few heartbreaking losses I've had over the sort of journey. Even last year at World Champs, playing America, Dalhouser and Lucina, where we lost. We had a match point and we lost like 16-14 or something. I still think about that every three. I think about it only every 3 days now, not every day. So that's time feels more words. I'd love it to have not been as hard, but I probably wouldn't be here, or I probably wouldn't have had that experience last week or 2 weeks ago if it hasn't been as hard and at times really depressing, and injuries and not getting selected for things and financial pressures and and I always, it sounds very depressing, but I had a lot of good times as well because it's beach volleyball. But yeah, it's so I probably wouldn't change anything because you can't look past everything happens for a reason. I don't know spiritually well, but everything happens for a reason. So there's so I probably wouldn't change anything because it's all meant to be. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, and it's not too good to look in the past too much, to dwell there too much, because you can start rattling around in your own head. But yeah, just got to go as hard as you can with what you're given, and who knows where you'll end up, or who knows. I never thought I'd end up with a bloody playing Com Games or representing Australia, or with a gold medal at the Com Games either. And hopefully I can keep going and do some more cool things. But I don't know. I it could do my ACL or something, next week, or you don't know. You don't know. But yeah, you don't know. So you don't know. So all the heartaches and all the disappointing, all the lows, all the losses at national juniors I had, all the beatdowns I've had over the years and stuff. Yeah. So no, I wouldn't change it. Good question though. Just give me thinking.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
What were you doing before you moved to Sassy, and why?
I was training in Melbourne as much as I could. So I had Hayden down there, who's some of you guys know Hayden, and I trained with George and a few other coaches before that. So I was so I knew I was never going to get an AIS scholarship when I was 18, 19. I was just too small and not good enough. And by the way, I keep saying too small. Height's not an issue, but if you are going to be small, you've got to be really good.
Yeah, Mitch.
So it's and yes, Mitch is a good example, but all of you are a good example because you're all small. There's much bigger people out there. So maybe not you, but you're still small, don't worry. And so it basically just training in Melbourne, and I studied. Lived at home as long as I could because it's hard to do three things. I found it hard to do three things. So study, work, and play volleyball as much as I can. You can do two things really well, I find. So you can study and train, or you can work and train, or you can do the other combination. And so I was studying and living at home, and borrowed money. I borrowed lots of money off my parents to get me through uni. They didn't pay for uni, obviously I didn't hex, but. So I borrowed a lot of money off mum and dad for petrol to get to uni and all that sort of stuff, and train and play national tour, and just ran a tab basically. So then once I finished uni, I was still training as much as I could, and then I started working at Mazenod, and the school was really, really good to me. Basically, it gave me as much time off as I needed, and I said to Twiggy, who was the principal at the time, if this doesn't work out, if this deal is not good for you guys, I'll go work in a factory. I'll do whatever I need to do. But he's like, nah, we'll work it out. And so then when I started working, that was to pay for my training and trips overseas, as well as paying my parents back, which took probably 5 years or something like that to pay them back. And then I was just working at Mazenod sort of 3, 4, 5 days a week, and training all the time, training before school, training during school sometimes, don't tell you. And I'd leave to go train and then come back and keep working and work late and do gym and everything I could. So I made sure I tried to, whatever they were doing in Adelaide or whatever they were doing in the rest of the world, because I was trying to compete with them, just tried to get as many sessions in as I could, and be smart about it as well. So if I don't have as much time, really concentrate on the things I needed to work on to compete internationally, basically. So, and then after the last Olympic cycle, there was a couple of new coaches. Craig Marshall, Frog, who's coaching Queensland, was the old coach, and he invited us over. But for me and Cordy, who I was playing with at the time, it would financially made better sense because we still had to pay for our own flights and all that sort of stuff to stay in Melbourne with Hayden and train. And Hayden was really great and got us to where we are. And then after that cycle, then moving over to Adelaide, they wanted me, they invited me there. But even if they didn't invite me there, I was going to go anyway because I knew that was the time to go and do it, because there was a couple of people left, and there was a bit more. There was money available, and the system changed a little bit, so I was going to go anyway. But that's what I was doing.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a big tournament?
Well, it's there's a lot of different things. I always get really nervous. In the days leading up, so I've got to go through a lot of mental stuff. And I used to get nervous playing Big Tour, or I'd get nervous playing G, whatever it is. The nerves don't leave, by the way. even at my age, with everything I've done, I still shit myself before most tournaments I play. Just not for as many days, only for a couple of days beforehand. But yeah, big one like Com Games or World Champs or a World Tour event, definitely nervous. So yeah, you just keep reminding yourself that even you might be feeling, so whether you're feeling really confident or whether you're feeling really nervous, doesn't affect how hard I'm going to go and how I'm going to play, basically. So I just keep telling myself that, and like to do some extra reps, and always like to sneak whatever city I'm in, like always take a ball and like go and find like a wall somewhere and just do lots of hitting against the wall and just feel my elbow in the right place, and then obviously some training and stuff. But diet, I make sure my diet's really good, sort of 2-3 weeks. It's always pretty good. Diet's going to be always pretty good, but not necessarily to play, playing beach volleyball with your diet. I know you're all young. Playing beach volleyball with your diet, you can eat crap and get through games and tournaments, but it's the training that you are able to do around those tournaments that your diet affects. So you can't train as hard because you get injured or you just don't have any energy, blah blah blah. So I think junk food apparently stays in your body for 3 days before it leaves. So I'll make sure sort of 2-3 weeks out I start getting like pretty perfect with diet as well. Lots of other players don't, but that's just me as a small person. It's something with I can't control my height or anything else, but that's one thing I can control, so I try and control that. Make sure physically everything's switched on, do a gym session, maybe 2 or 3 days out, so it's all ticking along, and keep shitting myself, and then on we go. Yeah.
I'm over here.
Yeah.
What kept you playing beach volleyball when you hit that low? You didn't want to
What, sorry?
What kept you playing beach volleyball when you wanted to hit that low?
Yeah, it's I mean there's lows and then there's lows. So it's different. I mean losing's a low, but then you have other lows like partners leaving you. You know, coaches making partners leave you, and you know different things that come along and sort of kick you in the teeth, and you never know, that might still happen to me. You never know, so it's basically there was a, like, you know, talking with Hayden as well, we almost had like a get out clause. So like it was almost like, okay, if I'm at age, you know, I'm 30, I'm going to turn 31 this year. So for me, if I was at age 30 and I still wasn't making money from beach, or breaking even, like if I was still losing lots of money and I'd been on the world tour now for 6 years or 5 years, then I was probably never going to make it. Like I was just spinning my tyres. So I gave myself that sort of, you know, almost a get out clause. If I'm still just like, but that was like, but I'm 30. I didn't do that. I didn't say that when I was 22. This only came about sort of the last 3 years as I'm getting married soon, and you know, family stuff, blah blah blah. So I had it's really expensive. And the fact that the decision I made when I was 18 or 19 or whatever age I was when I went to that Oz camp just pretty much kept me going through a lot of it. Like just keep like going. There was so many more talented people than me with more potential, that are taller and jump higher. My height, that were better than me as well, and just for whatever reason they just sort of, you know, some you know, really good reasons, and others just, you know, couldn't quite handle the depression of losing. Or a big one is, you know, you jump on social media and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to play for Australia, I want to do this and go on the national tour, and you play one game on the national tour, get smoked quick, and you'd be super surprised how often that happens. That or you know, there was a couple of other guys who were really admired that we were outside the AAS and going on world tour and stuff. And so they were like, yeah, we want to do what you guys are doing, you know. So they saved up, they trained for a year, and you know, put themselves out there on Facebook, which is great, you know, blah blah blah, because it's extra pressure, which is really good. And then yeah, they went over on world tour and played one game, and both could never touch the volleyball again, basically. And so it just sort of stealing my mind to get ready for all those moments, allowed me to get through them, but also allowed me to get through them, and then the next time, you know, then the next World Tour event qualified and you're in the main draw and you're getting to play like some heroes that you've watched, and or you know, you're winning a game in the main draw, or you know, lose national tour, like get smoked on the national tour and like not qualify for 2 years, and then like, you know, not quit, hang in there, and then make your first main draw. And that might be the greatest volleyball. I didn't know. When I was 19, I was like, if by the time I'm 28, I can like be on the national tour in the main draw, like that'd be the sickest thing ever. Like, but it all happened a lot faster. But I didn't know that was going to happen. But I just was going to give it everything I had and see where that ended me up, basically. Yeah.
Super, great question. Last question, anyone? Yeah, sure. Matt?
Last two questions.
Yeah, no worries.
How important was it to your development to go and train with the best people in the state and just get beat downs?
Yeah, very important. Very important. It was, it was not just training. It was not just training with the best people in the state and getting beat downs, because that's one thing. But it was playing as many tournaments as I could, getting beat downs in front of people watching, and when the scoreboard's there, and because training's no one's watching. And you could sort of like, oh yeah, I was a bit tired, like, oh yeah, you can justify it, like, I was just trying to work on this or whatever, and to put yourself out there to get beaten by people and to travel into states, to put your own money up, to get beaten, it's a hard thing to do. And the quicker, and I wish I realised this at a younger age as well. Often, when I was 18, 19, spending my own money playing on the national tour, getting destroyed, or on the big tour, getting destroyed as well. Like, you always think, and I'm sure you guys have experienced, some of this. Oh, there's an Oz coach behind me, or there's a state coach behind me. Like, oh god, and then you start playing crap. What will they think of me if I lose this point? Or like, oh no, these crap kids who I'm playing from another state or whatever they're about to beat us. Like, what will all the other bigs think? And like, oh my god, like, what will people think of me? So that, if you can, once you overcome that, and the way you overcome that, of course, is you switch the situation. And if you were standing there watching some Victorians or your peers or another state lose to somebody they shouldn't, or play really crap or whatever it is, how much does that change your opinion? Does that change your opinion of that person as a person? It shouldn't really. Like, you still like, yeah, they probably shouldn't have lost that game, but I still like them as a person. And if the people watching you watch you lose that game, and they change their opinion of you as a person, you don't really want to be hanging around them anyway. So who cares? So what I'm trying to say is, the less you can worry about what people think about you, including coaches, parents, other teammates, other bloody girls that are watching from other states, whatever it might be, or Oz coaches, whatever it is, you're not the only one going through it, and everybody at some stage is going through that when they're playing. And just remember that when the situations are reversed and you're watching somebody choke or not play well or play well, the other one is all play well, you shouldn't really change your opinion of them as a person. You might change your opinion of them slightly as a volleyballer, but that stuff doesn't matter. It's more just, so if you can just keep trying to remember that as well, especially these teenage years, and that's not for volleyball, that's for everything. Everyone cares too much about what everybody else thinks. But the quicker you can learn that lesson as well is really good. There's a long answer for you, Matt.
Last question, Vincent.
Does it matter if you make an Oz camp when you're young?
That doesn't matter if you make an Oz camp when you're young. Absolutely not. Like 110%. Absolutely not. I didn't make so many Oz camps, and within 2 years, like, all that matters. So, and he's filming this, and probably Volleyball Australia will probably see it, which is not good. But it's like, even Oz teams, even state teams, like, I shouldn't say this either, especially and junior stuff. The associations, Volleyball Australia, whoever it is, will be like, if you don't make this under-19 team or squad or bloody Oz camp or whatever it is, your career's over. Like, you won't get picked up by scouts, college people won't look at you. It just doesn't matter, because if you look at international volleyball, everybody, and this is the other thing that helps me as well, everybody hits their peak around age 28 to sort of 35. That's when volleyball is actually peak. And so if you can hang in there long enough to get good, no one remembers who attended that Oz camp. No one remembers who attended. At the time, it's very important, and everything is very important. But if you don't make that Oz camp, you're like, oh no, didn't make. But if you go out and beat people on the national tour or at these events who were in the Oz camp, who gives a stuff? Like, it just doesn't matter. And all that matters is how hard what you're willing to go through to get better. And that might be what you're willing to go through to get better might be different to somebody else. And who knows? Like, the best achievement you might ever have is qualifying for a AAA tournament in Victoria. That might be it. At age 28, you've worked, but at least you can look back at the end of your life, at the end of your volleyball life, and you're like, hey, I gave it everything I got, and I got to this point. That's brilliant. So if you don't make an Oz camp, or whatever stupid thing at the time you think's really important, it's not. I'll say if you can, go make it, but it's but if you don't make it, it's just not that important. I didn't make a lot, so if there's proof for you as well. I'm not just crapping on. So I didn't make a lot of teams and stuff like that when I was younger, but I loved it, so I kept going.
And just lastly, one thing from me. During the gold medal match, I saw one hashtag trending on Twitter. And it was do something sick.
Yeah.
Can you take us through what that actually means?
Yes, it was. So last year at World Champs, we were playing Dalhousie and Lucina, who's like the best American team, and Dalhousie's won a gold medal in Beijing, and Lucina's like been one of the best players on the world tour forever. Blah blah blah. They're really good, and I thought there were a few. So I thought. So usually when you're on those big games and there's TV and stuff, there's usually a cameraman standing like right in front of your timeout bench, and they just like take a knee and they film your timeout, which they did for the Com Games. And so you sort of just automatically know not to swear or do anything like that if there's a camera right there. But there was no camera there at the World Champs, and so I was like, oh whatever. So we were losing heaps in the first set, like just getting smoked. And we took a time out, and like, we weren't playing that well, and yeah, I wasn't swearing or anything like that, and that's the only time out that got televised, because we were swearing for every other time out thereon, because we were back in and we were like, you do this, and I'll play you do this, and and then we'll get him, so every other time out was much more up and about than than that time out. But that first time out, we were just getting smoked. I was like, it's all good, man. I was just like, that's all right. Pass me up for two. I'll jump set you, or I'll do something. That's all right. Just do something sick, man. We'll be sweet. Like, and I had no idea that was being because above our shade cloth there was this massive microphone that could pick up every single word, and then of course they had cameras like, a kilometre up in the grandstand that just zoomed in perfectly on our face. So it's like, of course they were filming everything we were saying. I just didn't know. So I had no idea they were filming that. And so then I just said that to Chris. A real throwaway line that sounds really nerdy. It just sounds really stupid, really. But everyone took with it and ran with it, and there you go. That's where that hashtag comes from.
Yeah, fantastic. A round of applause, everyone. Try and do it as quickly as we can.
That's all right, I'll tell you over.
We do have dinner reservations
do it
for some teams as well. If you do it in your teams, pairs, trios, like those things be easier. Whatever. Do you want to show us the gold medal?
Come and get a photo.
Yeah, under 15 girls. I like to